So as cars have evolved from mechanical to electronic sensors and actuators controlled by a engine control unit, power control module, we have to interact and see what sensors and actuators are doing. So they came out with a variety of Scantools. This one is the oldest one we currently have. Snap-on came out with this, the MT2500. This Scantool has removable cartridges. So these cartridges you pop down, pull out. There's a primary and a troubleshooting cartridge. And they just lock into place. Similar to like maybe your old Nintendo cartridges that you guys used to play video games with. In the early 1980s, they came with these adapters here that plug into this cable. And this particular port is onboard diagnostic generation 1, which is General Motors. So this is a GM adapter, and there's a variety of different adapters. Toyota, there's 2 different ones that Toyota used. There's Nissan, Honda. Everybody had their different adapters, and we had to unplug cartridges based upon engine, based upon ABS. If I needed to go into anti-lock brakes, I had to remove the cartridge and put those cartridges in, and this displayed what the data was, the codes was, everything on this little screen here. 1996, they came out with onboard diagnostic 2 port, and this is a standardized connector that they use currently today, and these are chip keys. After you put in the vehicle's VIN identification numbers as you're loading that information to the Scantool, it would tell you to put in a certain chip key, this being K2 for example, and it has a little notch here that you just plug this in and it shorts out the pins for communication purposes. So these are exchanged here based upon what needs to be grounded out in the OBD2 connector to determine what the data is, what the codes are, so forth. This particular Scantool is another Scantool that was made by Snap-on. This is a Solus, and it does the same thing, has the same connectors. These connectors are also interchangeable with OBD1 connectors, so that's nice. They came out with this. This can read engine, transmission, ABS codes, and to upgrade their system, they had a little flash disk that would be the software update. And so that software updated was through this flash disk here. As these Scantools have evolved, we now have Scantools that update through internet service. So anytime we want to update the Scantool, it needs to be updated through the internet, and we can use the Scantool. This one's touchscreen. We don't have to use the keys like on the Solus Pro or the 2500, and it gives us makes and models. So this one, we would put in the information, and what's nice about these two is it has a quick scan to determine what the year, make, model of vehicle is. So the year, make, model of vehicle is automatically uploaded once this communicates with the computer. We have kind of went to a code reader here in the industry, and this is definitely different. A lot of people interpret just this simple piece here to gather information. All this does is read check engine light, code, and readiness status. The scan tool has the ability to read codes, readiness status, live data, and bidirectional controls, and even some cases it can reprogram computers depending upon the type of software that is incorporated with your scan tool and the licensing that it has. This is a different type of scan tool. This is a OTC brand. They plug in very similar to our Snap-on. This is a universal smart cable for 96 and newer. They had OBD1 connectors for this years ago. 96 and newer is all standardized. We just plug this in. And this one's not touchscreen. It does have the keys that you push to move through the different menus. So we come over to this one here, and this is a DRB3. DRB3 is a Chrysler scan tool. Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler all use the DRB3. This is an OBD2 port. In terms of software updates, they had little chips that you could plug in here, flash disks, to give it more memory, more ability. These all had the keys here. The nice thing about the DRB3 that was used up until the mid-2000s is this could also reprogram the computer with current emission values. So if you had the subscription through Dodge, you can download those updates for the car and then reprogram it through the OBD2 port into the computer to reflash the computer. So this was a pretty powerful tool that Dodge uses. They currently don't use it on their newer vehicles. It's all laptop based now. This is Tech 2. This is a General Motors scan tool. This was used for OBD1, and about 2013 they stopped using this and they went with a computer system instead. So this Tech 2 would go from 1980s up to 2013. They had the interchangeable OBD1 for General Motors. This was under the dash, and OBD2. In the mid-2000s, the software was reading at a slower speed than what the computer was using, so they came out with this control area network device, diagnostic interface, and this was put in between to slow the speed of information. So maybe you have a newer vehicle that ran off of the control area network. So this was an addition to this scan tool to slow the speed of the computer so that we could see what the data is and interpret what was happening. So they came out with this additional piece. This is kind of what they've moved to now at the dealership. This is a Ford interface module, vehicle communication module. This plugs directly into the OBD2 connector. This has a little USB port. It goes into the USB of our computer, and we have to have a subscription, a yearly prescription. It's a 365-day prescription, and this goes through this module, slows down the speed or communicates whatever speed to our software that we download onto our computer to visually see the sensors and everything. This module here, Ford used for a while. They have a newer one out, but they used this one. This was used for their scan tool, very effective. had to be hooked to a computer with a log cable. Now we're doing it all through Bluetooth. This particular one is Scantool. This is a launch. This is an aftermarket Scantool, and basically it's an iPad. So this is Bluetooth. It has Bluetooth here with our OBD2, and this is a Scantools, and this will also go in and we can see the different lights associated, modules used for check engine lights, used for ABS, tire pressure sensor lights, and it's a touch screen, very similar to what a lot of shops are using today. All of these connectors, you can see these are OBD1. So what's nice about this particular tool is it's got OBD1, and then we have cables that sold with the OBD1. So this one can go back to 1980s with the cables that plug into these. And this thing right here is a tire pressure sensor adapter that works with this to program tire pressure sensors. So basically we've kind of evolved with the electronics of the cars. We need to communicate with them. There's Scantools that's used for diagnostic purposes. Monitor sensors, turn actuators on and off. There's different adapters based upon the vehicle. We use this with service information to diagnose what's happening. And I'm going to take you back to the code reader. And so a lot of people argue or whatever. All this can do is read codes, erase codes, and then it can show readiness status. That is it. These cost thousands of dollars. This costs about $60. So if you're going to be working on cars, you probably want to get a Scantools that has the ability to diagnose and troubleshoot cars. This is used for the check engine only. These are used for check engine, ABS, traction control, vehicle stability control. This has more options in terms of diagnostic troubleshooting things for your different lights that go on your dash and alert the driver when something's wrong.